Coach McCreary from Baseball by the Yard. Thanks for stopping by today for today's video tip. Now today's tip is for pitchers, and it's actually what I think is a tremendous pitching drill because it can work on a lot of different things at the same time. Of course, like any drill, it's not for everything. It's not a cure-all for all the pitching things, and it's one of those things where if I only do this drill, it might actually cause some problems. So I'll explain kind of the pros and cons of this drill. So it does involve a chair, okay? And for this drill here, I'm going to pretend that the catcher is going to be down here. Now, this drill can be done in a few ways. I can literally throw to a catcher, but if that's the case, if I am going to throw to somebody, I have to really shorten the distance. So if I'm a high school kid and my distance is 60 feet, 6 inches, I'm going to really have to shorten it up to maybe 15, 20 feet because I'm not going to be able to generate a lot of speed. This is more of a mechanical thing, as you will see. So shorten that distance up as needed. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my lead or stride foot, okay, pretty much in line with the chair, okay, and I'm going to put my other foot, the side of my other foot, on top of the chair like this, okay, and I'm going to start with my glove here, okay, and when I'm ready I turn and I throw and I get in that finished position. Now notice how my foot is positioned on the chair. If we just focus on my foot here, it started from the side and ended up on my toe with my heel facing the ceiling. Now, when I deal with pitchers, I'm a huge proponent of making sure pitchers use their midsection, especially young kids who are transitioning to a bigger field. If a young pitcher is on a small field, he can get away with not using his midsection very much because he has a short distance. But a challenge is when that kid gets to the real distance, he can't just utilize his arm. He's got to use his whole body. And unfortunately, we see a lot of kids get hurt because they think they have to use their arm more, when in fact, they got to use the stronger muscles. So this is a drill that helps kids focus on what it feels like to rotate their hips over. Now, going back to some basic pitching mechanics, I'm also a firm believer when you work with kids who are pitching, is you want them to get in the habit or the feel of going from front side to back side. Now what that means is when they have their knee up, their whole front side is facing the catcher. So the front shoulder, the outside of the front hip, the outside of the front knee, and the outside of the lead foot are all facing the catcher, and my backside is all facing second base. And when I make my throw, when I'm finished, those two sides should have reversed. Now this shoulder is facing the catcher, and the previous one is now back at second base. My hips have reversed in the outside of my knee and the outside of my foot as well. So this drill here, you'll notice that when I turn and I finish, all those things are now facing the catcher. So if I do it correctly and I do it slow, and kids kind of get in that habit of where they need to be finished, nice and low, glove near the hip, hand under the glove, front shoulder, hip, side of my knee, and side of my foot are all facing the catcher. They will get in that feel of what it feels like to rotate their hips all the way around. Now, the reason why I have the kid do this on a chair is because a lot of kids will also drag that back foot. They will throw and their back foot drags on the dirt. Now the problem with that is that's kind of like a brake system. And the last thing I want to do is put the brakes on the strongest part of my body, which is my midsection. So you'll see in the major leagues, if you were to do slow motion, you see basically every single pitcher will throw and his foot comes off the ground like this, okay? So some kids do that naturally, some kids have to be taught. What you don't want them to do is drag that back foot because it's going to lock their hips in. So the chair here kind of forces that player to get that foot off the ground and get the feeling of having that foot here instead of down here in the actual dirt. Now, you also want to make sure this chair is not too close to the pitcher because this is not going to be very comfortable and it's not how you want your pitcher to end up. So make sure that chair is far enough away so you can get that leg out to the side like a pitcher normally would. Okay? Now, as I said, there's pros and cons to every drill, okay? Another aspect of this drill might be for older kids who are working on a curveball, but I'll have to explain that. That'll take a little too long for this video, but it's not a bad drill to teach kids a curveball from this drill. If I was going to work on a kid who's trying to get the hang of a new fastball, a cut fastball, a changeup, where the pitcher's going to need a little more extension on those pitches, this wouldn't be the drill for them. Now, maybe later I'll explain why, but for the most part, I'm just reiterating the fact that not every drill is going to help with every problem. So even this drill, one that I like a lot for pretty much all age groups, especially young pitchers who are just starting, there are some times where I would not use this drill depending on what I'm focusing attention on. Well folks, that's the chair drill. Try it. I think you'll like it. I like it. But again, it's not for every situation. So I'm Coach McCurry signing off. Thanks again for watching, everybody. Have a nice day.